Good evening and welcome to the Laughing Monkey Music Show. George, Rhino Bucket, how are you, man?
Good, good. Fucking with my
Glad to
hair.
have glad to have you back. You've been on a few times and glad to be friends with you. We got some new news in the Rhino camp. Let's chat.
Yeah,
Let's
yeah,
update the
no, I
world.
mean, yeah. So, uh, the way like feel about this band and structure of this band is that
Mhm.
we're not a cover band of Rhino Bucket, and there's a lot of those that are of their bands,
Okay.
and it really doesn't have to do with anything about members or original members or non-original members. Maybe they're just too tired or burnt out to like try to put another album. And albums
Mhm.
are like lost leaders. I understand that.
Right.
But essentially, my hair is fucking killing me. Essentially, I'm a creative person, so I don't. I want Rhino Bucket to create new music.
Mhm.
That's the gist of it. We haven't for a while, and we've had some logistical problems with that where like when Reeve, who hasn't been in a band for like 2 3 years, he moved to Austria. We dealt with that for like years, and then Brian changed his so-called home from LA, didn't go to Frederick or Harrisburg to be with Kicks, and they were still working
Yeah.
vigorously, went to Nashville, and so that became a challenge as well. And then Sean, I mean, because the last lineup was me, Dave, Brian, and Sean, the
Yep.
previous one. And Sean's super busy. And Sean and Brian are super nice guys. But
All right.
I, I if I'm going to be in a cover band, I'm going to be in an ABBA cover band with deer antlers. And I refuse to, and I refuse to be in a cover band. So I want to be in a band that is creating and moving
Right.
forward. And so I
So you think that I mean kind of your angle of being a cover band is kind of at some point when a band just is just doing the same stuff and you stop being
yeah.
creative. Okay. I don't know if you meant with members too, because sometimes the other gig is people are like, oh, well, this band only has three members. And to me, if the core members are in the band, as far as I'm concerned, it's still the band. It's harder if it's like a bass player or the drummer or somebody that has not the sound you'd hear right away, like a guitarist or a singer, like you're both and you wrote the music. So the band kind of is you. Like if you're not there, it's not gonna
Right.
sound like
I
Rhino
mean,
Bucket.
there's a certain hypocrisy with what I'm saying because I'm the only guy left.
There's a
But
hypocrisy with my show, so we're on the same page, man.
but so but I still speak regularly with Greg, and we have songs
Hmm.
that we're going to discuss about whether or not we're going to do or I'm going to do. Um, no, look, I just want everyone to make music. I just one of my pet peeves is to watch these bands from the 80s or 90s or what have you, or 2000s, go out there in their get-ups and play songs that were written, created, and done by people that are no longer in the band.
Right.
So they're just like cashing in, and good for them. The fans love it, and that's fine. It's cool, but I'm not a fan of that. It's
Right.
like, what? Take it on the chin. Call the guy. You know, a good example is actually, it's not a great example, but Queensryche. A lot of the early Queensryche stuff was written by a guy who was not in a band later,
Hmm.
and a talented band. All of them, and
They've
what?
released they've written three songs, three albums, I think, at least, with the new singer.
Oh no, yeah. I mean, like yeah, no, that's great, but like the early stuff, and then
Right.
it always seems like when they part ways with the guy who created it,
Right.
there's like this bad blood, like he's a big asshole and all that kind of stuff, and you're like,
Hmm.
um, okay, but you were playing a bar, and now
Right.
you're not, it's like, so it's all, it, it's kind of like the same thing I tell to everyone about everyone in my life. Do what you got to do. Try to be happy. It's all good, but don't expect me to endorse you. So I'm not a fan of bands not moving forward. And very few of those bands are putting out new albums. Queensryche, like you now pointed out, are one of them. That's great. I think Kix put out a new album like 3 years ago or something like that.
They did. The
Yeah,
first
that's
one without what's his face leading the ship. And it seemed like the band was the happiest they were ever were. So it was kind of odd that they had to end because they were finally happy, you
well,
know?
yeah. I mean, they
I
had
know vocally Whitman was having issues, but I mean, ironically, they finally
no.
were in a
The
happy
weird
spot.
the weird thing is like I don't think Steve had vocal issues. I just think he had such a high bar of what he
Well,
expected from himself that he felt that he wasn't, hitting that level
every note, right. I
of
still think, I agree with you.
expectation.
I think he was singing better than his peers still. He just
Oh
couldn't
no,
hit what he
absolutely.
thought
I
he
mean,
could do.
yeah, yeah. And it was like self-evaluation and all the love and respect to Steve and
Oh
the
yeah.
guys at Kicks. But on the flip side of that, they like apparently hate Donnie Purnell, who
Yes.
created Kicks. Because if without Donnie, there would be no Kicks. You
Right.
know, So all right, that's fine. Not my circ. Like there's a Hungarian saying.
Right. But he didn't do
Not,
the last album though either, and they were happy about it because they, as a band, finally got to do what they wanted.
yeah, and it wasn't as good. Oh, did I say that? Um, no, it's like there's a Hungarian saying, like not my circus, not my monkeys. So let them do whatever they want. Um,
So, I mean, the challenge is though, I mean, that's like a can of worms, like vocally for somebody. At what point does the singer bow out? It's like you got, it's like musicians as they get to a certain point, I'm almost gonna say like 50s and they start moving on, are like athletes. At what point do they want to call it quits? They don't think they're doing what they want. Are they enjoying it? Are the fans doing it? And then there's a balance of not caring, you know what I'm saying? And then it just gets a really gray area, which is what Whitman and like a lot of the singers are doing.
well, I think one of the advantages of being like the songwriter, and I mean, there's still those songs you have to do every set where you're like, oh shit. But being a songwriter and one of the main creators and all that kind of stuff at Rhino Bucket is that when we do the next album, I can write songs that are not going to be physically
Right.
challenging to me. Um, I wish more people took that approach as well, so that because I think people like to hear Rhino Bucket. I think people like to hear Slaughter. I think people like to hear Kicks. It didn't all have to be, what's Kicks's ballad? Um,
Don't close
oh yeah,
close your eyes.
yeah, don't close it. That's impossible. It's like,
No, it's
you know,
crazy. But
so
same thing
like,
with Dokken and everybody else. They hit the notes and they're like, if everyone says to me, I've heard it a million times, like, if I knew then what I knew now, I never would have
right. Well,
sang
it's like
like that.
AC/DC with Brian, it's like amazing guy, amazing, vocalist. You're asking a 70-year-old to do Back in Black. Are you out of your mind?
I've heard some clips lately. He still seems like he's come back doing pretty good. Like, I mean, like I can't even get out of bed sometimes. And this guy's already singing like 20 years my senior
No,
doing
he's
Back in
doing
Black. I
great.
mean, it's amazing.
No, he's doing great and all that kind of stuff. But if you,
No, I'm saying the challenge as you get older though.
yeah, I mean, I had a,
Well,
I
what
had a
about
team.
you? I mean,
I
from
had,
you start, you having challenges from your first album though, as some of your earlier albums?
there's some songs that I'm like, especially Dave, the drummer, Dave Desay, who's a great guy. And he goes like, "Hey, let's do this one," and I'm like, "Oh, it's like we can do it once, and then I'm gonna have to sit down and like have a steam bath and have a cup of tea in the middle of the set."
Sounds
Yeah, no,
expensive to maintain you. Sounds very diva-like for a good tour for you to do all the songs
you
like
would
that.
think, right? Yeah, but there's a lot of
Well,
stuff that I can do. Yeah, I mean,
but so do you think it's hard though? Are they main songs? I think one of the challenges I was thinking this is interesting because artists will have like you'll get your like I've had talked to Don about his voice all the time. Doc will come in, they have all these high songs and
mhm.
they write new songs because he's written some new songs that are more in his voice now.
Right.
But how many new songs can you put out? He can sing two new songs that are in his voice now. But then you've got 12 songs like a greatest hits almost set list that the fans will not let you not play. They're all way up here.
Right.
Now, the world of Rhino Bucket, like how many songs do you have that you can get away with not being locked into as a fan, being like, what the heck, man? This is the song I
Oh, no,
wanted to
but
hear.
I can still play it out. It's fine. But at the end of the day, it's still not at that point. I mean, like, the one night stands, beat to death, hey
Mhm.
there, beg for your love, ride the rhino. I still have that high end,
Okay.
um, fortunately. But the end of the day, like the thing is that it's going to either endear me or vilify me is that when I can't, we'll put out another album of the songs I can sing, and we just won't play those songs. And if you don't
Really?
want to, yeah, if you don't want to show up, don't show up, because you don't want to. I mean, you don't want to go to see an athlete, not that
Almost do it, almost perform, almost run the
like
mile.
not be able to, throw the pass
Right.
because that's pointless. And so if you're at that point, and I'm not, but if you're at that point where you're not, like if I can't sing "Beg for Your Love,"
Hmm.
or which is a fun song, or "She's a Screamer," um,
Hmm.
then we're gonna write other songs or do other songs that I can sing, like "I Was Told," "Train Ride," and stuff like that. And if that doesn't, tickle your fancy, then that's all right. I mean, I'm just doing it's. I'm not auditioning. I
What
got
about changing the songs a little bit at that point, though? I mean, that's an interesting thing, right? I mean,
a lot
uh,
of people are tuning down. Like we've always been tuned down to half step, but a lot of people tune down from E to D and
mhm.
and changing songs. They're like, I don't want to do that.
I'm just
It's
saying,
like,
like Mike Tramp just did a thing where he did like White Line song reimagined the way he sings it now. Fans seem to like it. A lot of them do. That's another option. You can, you know what I'm saying? Do your songs a little bit differently if like a meet in the middle for the fans. I'm just saying if the fans give you a
I
hard
just
time about
rather
like
write a new song that like is more into
the
like
rocks.
where
Yeah.
we're at. You
Okay.
know, I I kind of feel I feel very fortunate that we're still having this conversation.
Hmm.
I've been here a long time, doing this, and I'm very grateful for that. So a lot of it has to do like, and like in all seriousness, we are getting to the end game with Rhino Bucket. It's not going to happen tomorrow or next year, but it's going in that direction. So
Well,
I wanted to be
sorry.
positive for everyone. And like I said, I can still sing the set, but the
Hmm.
day that I really can't or I feel I can't,
Yep.
um, we're just gonna change the set. I'm not gonna
Which is
do
cool. I'm just asking those questions because we're at a new time in life, though. Like we never thought when all these bands started and I was listening, you know what I mean, that we're gonna be at a point like with the Rolling Stones are 80 years old on stage playing, Start Me Up. Like, who thought that they'd still be around all these years? Like, we'd still be, you think he's still playing right now?
right.
Like, so no one thought in advance like this. So now everyone's like, how do I maintain this? And then an artist will say the same thing with the greatest hits. Will be like, well, I want to be creative and do a new album, like you, right? Which I love. But at the same point, when I go see someone actually said when I went and saw Iron Maiden and they did a whole new album, I wanted to hear the hits, even though and I realized
Yeah.
that I'm guilty of the same thing because as an artist, I want to do new songs, but then I go see a show and I'm the same way.
No, I understand that. I mean, like, we're always gonna have to do, I mean, I'm not sure how many hits we had, but we had songs that were popular with our fans. So yeah, yeah, no, I get it. It's like um, it's not a challenge right now,
Good.
and we're okay. And I've seen some stuff, because you get people send you links and all that. It's like, oh my God, did you see this? And you're like, oh, but we've all had bad nights. That's the whole thing.
Hmm.
I don't judge a person. I don't judge any singer or guitar player or bass player or drummer on one performance, especially if I've known them and I know they've been doing this for 30 years. Maybe, they had a fight with their wife, their kid's sick, you know,
Hmm.
the Coke was bad, I mean, By the way, I don't do drugs, so
He means it
just
because there was no Pepsi.
right. Yeah.
Right. Well, the other thing is like I think I'm a supporter of like if I think if a band goes out and we use I'm sort of like whatever a band does at this point. Like you guys have worked so hard as musicians, do so much crap. If two members go out and two of the members go out to different bands and you're getting paid for your music that you wrote, good for you. If whatever you're doing, the only time I feel bad is when was it Frankie Valli? He's like 90 years old and he's up on stage doing lip syncing. It's like Weekend at Bernie's. I think the guy's being just put out there. That's the only time I've ever felt bad for a singer on stage. Like I'm like the guy really needs to just sit down. If a singer's not up to par and he feels okay with it or she and the audience is okay with it, but I don't think the audiences are awful. You know what I mean? And if the artist keeps going on, you just gotta be ready to take the beating.
Yeah,
That's
I
what it comes
mean,
down to.
uh
It's a weird discussion though. It's a hot spot because a
no,
lot of you
yeah,
guys are your
yeah,
peers.
no, it's really weird because at the end of the day, um, for me, it's I don't I kind of understand why that person would be there in that position, but
Mhm.
because I'm not going to lay down and say this is the finish line. I'm Finnish, so I'm allowed to say that. No, the finish line, and just like, spend the rest of my fucking days hanging out and, and going like, oh, when I used to play the troubadour. It's like I'm not that guy. I was never that guy, and I never will be that guy. I don't like nostalgia. I don't like the past. I'm always looking for the future. I'm always looking to, push the horse and the cart. So I guess if somebody came to you that you trust, like if my wife came to me and said like, "Hey, you don't have it anymore," I would say,
Ask your girlfriend too. No.
"Yeah, no," I'd say you're wrong because my Thai girlfriend thinks I'm hot. Um, you know, or like
No, I get what you're
Deanie.
saying. A trusted source, because you think some people don't have the sources to tell them, right? Because usually like yes people.
Well, the most important thing in your life as far as an entertainer or a musician is to have people that can be honest with you.
Yes, I
Because
agree.
most of the people are gonna like be yes people because they want to get paid. So
Mhm.
you can have, members of the crew, management, lawyers, record labels, and you show them something, you do something, you're like, oh, that's the fucking pie, and then it's not. But it's the guy that, or girl, or woman,
Yep.
or man, that comes up to you and goes like, "Hey, you missed the mark on here. You got to aim higher." Those are
Hmm.
the people that are gonna, like let you aim higher. Which gets to the point, like why I ended my relationship with Sean and Brian, and I'm gonna give you the holy truth. And if they want to dispute it, they're welcome to. But this is the way I experienced it. Um, we had this, we were offered the show at the Kicks Festival or Kicks Fan Fest in somewhere over there, not LA, obviously. And monetarily, it didn't make any sense to us at
Okay.
all. It was because I have a certain parameter requirement, like to do fly-ins and fly-outs, so that I can pay everyone in the band a certain amount, and we
Right.
can have food, hotel rooms, accommodations, drive.
Insurance, the coverage, everything.
Yeah, and it's not much. It's like we're not we're not we're
Get
not
it?
the Rolling Stones, and they undercut it, and so I canceled it. And Brian got really upset and was like really upset and went back and
Mm.
forth and back and forth. And I said, like, look, man, like Dave and I and Sean are going to lose money on this gig. It's in your hood, your old hood, so you can say your
Right.
sisters and you can do this. So you're going to be at the Kicks Fan Fest and sell merch, and you're going to make money. So basically, you're asking us to pay for your flights from Nashville to there for
Right.
you and your girlfriend, and and then radio silence. Um, and then so Sean was in Sturgis with Gilby Clark, and he does, he plays with Gilby a lot. They do great, and
Right.
Sean's a great guy. And I said to him like, "Hey man, I really need to talk to you." And he goes like, "Well, I'm on a travel day. We played last night. I'll call you when I'm back in LA." I have never received another message, text, or phone call from Sean because he talked to Brian. So then I talked to Brian like a week later, and I said like, "Hey man, we got this whiskey gig on December 4th." And Brian goes, unbeknownst to me, Brian goes like, "Well, the last whiskey gig we did, I lost $600." And and I was like, and okay, I didn't ask you to move to Nashville, and I'm not sure if that included the fact that you brought your girlfriend or not. I don't know.
Hmm.
But if you lost $600, this is something you might have told me before I booked the second gig, because it's been
Right.
8 months. But, because you're the most egotistical, passive aggressive person I've ever met in my life. But, on the flip side, he's a great person, but he's just so. So I'm sitting there going like, all right, so I'm not going to do the Kicks Fan Fest, and you're pissed. What do you want me to do about the whiskey? And he goes like, well, just try to find somebody else. And I was like, okay, I'll find somebody else permanently. Like, I'll pay,
Yeah.
I'll give you the 600 fucking dollars.
Right.
But he just didn't want to do it because he was being passive aggressive because we can't, we weren't going to do the Kicks Fest.
The kicks thing.
Yeah, or Fan Fest or whatever the fuck it was. So, okay, great. Um, and then I had a conversation with someone who's a really good friend of mine who had nothing to do with the music business, and uh, she, fellow Finn, she said, you should have fired Reeve the day he moved to Austria, and he did a long time ago. And I go like, yeah, you're right. And you should have fired Brian the day he moved to Nashville, because Rhino Bucket is not at that level of a band that they can have people all over the world
Right.
and afford to bring them in. You guys should be in LA. And we are now currently. And and then she pointed out also, it's like in all the years that Reeve flew from Austria to America to do shows and all that kind of stuff, or you
Right.
guys flew to out, Europe to do shows, he never once complained that he had to buy a fucking plane ticket or lost money. But Brian did it after one gig. So it's like, all right, I get it. I mean, Brian was in the band for 25 years, but at the same time, it's like, I got to make another album, and don't talk to me about like, hey, let's do this with Zoom, and when I show up at the studio, we'll make the magic happen. No, that's not how it fucking works. Metallica, they live all over the fucking world, Colorado, Tiburon, LA, Hawaii. When they make an album, they show up in that place in
Compound, that big compound that you need to write a bucket compound is what we're saying. So we're gonna start a
they
GoFundMe for it. The Rhino Bucket compound. Everybody.
they they show up in San Rafael, and
Yeah.
they make an album through blood, sweat, and tears and make it happen. And you're talking about you're going to bring in the magic, when we book a studio in Echo Park or whatever like that. Now, fuck you. I mean, it's got the foundation has to be built. Now, if magic
Before the studio.
happens, if it happens, lightning strikes. That's fantastic. But I'm not going in going like, oh, I hope this works out, because all
That's
you did.
crazy.
Well, no, it's also with a lot of people. It's like all you do is like, yeah, I'll show up, and then I'm sitting there on the phone for 18 hours a fucking day, working out everything, and asking for favors and asking for this and asking for that, And I understand. Complete transparency. I like the control because because they could say, obviously, if someone else did it, it's like, oh, we're going to do it here. And I would like, oh, that sucks. But, being in charge of everything, you kind of are in charge of everything.
Right. But you're also
Right.
responsible for the hard things too. The other pens, like the deals and this and that. So
Right.
if you're steering the ship, you get everything.
Right. So what ended up happening is like Dave and I realized that the like the reality is for us to tour Europe, which is like the thing we do.
Right.
America is a tough market for us. We need to have a new album. For us to tour, to do Monsters of Rock cruises, and with Larry and his gang, it helps the fact that we tour Europe and keep ourselves
Mhm.
relevant. It wasn't going to happen with Sean or Brian. Excuse me. I have to have some apple juice made in Italy
Rocking.
from grapes.
Aged.
Yes, slightly sweet. Um, so, excuse me. So I called an old friend of mine, Harry Cody, for Shaka Messiah.
Been hearing his name a lot lately too.
Yeah, Shaka Messiah was a really good band.
They
Not
were absolutely.
not like Rhino Bucket band, but um I mean we were probably level as far as, what we did. But like he was on Guitar World, that whole thing.
Yeah, they had a good minute when they first came out. They got a lot of attention. They did something really
Yeah.
special.
And Harry and I did like a demo, I think 25 years ago, of a number of songs that I think one of them ended up on a movie. And am I repeating myself here? Like Harry's from
No,
Sweden, I'm from
Lily
Finland.
said none of that.
Oh, okay. So Harry's from Finnish parents, but he was born, and I think he was born, but raised in Sweden. And I'm from Finland, but my first language was Swedish. But the dialects that we speak are completely separate. But there is a brotherhood there. I mean, there's a
Right.
mutual respect, and it's all good. And he's an amazing guitar player. And one of the things I learned when I did Bulgaria with Simon was that Greg Goldie was able to play rock and roll without even batting an eye.
Yeah.
And and had I asked myself or Greg or any guitar player in Rhino Bucket to play Dio, we would have all gone like, what? So, and there's been some comments on the internet like, Harry Cody, it's not going to be a good fit. It's like, no, fuck you. I mean, like you know, he he's going to fit fine. It's all good.
Well, I
It's
imagine
like,
you guys have also probably played together since before you announced it to see if you guys could play together well
oh God, no,
in
we
rehearsals
haven't
and stuff.
even
Yeah.
met.
Nuh-uh.
No, no, no. No, I know Harry and Harry knows me. We're fine.
Literally, you guys have not actually played together?
Uh, 25 years ago, but yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God.
No, it's
That
good.
is all right. Well, at a certain point of being a musician, you can play with somebody. It's more about personality, I think, at one point in chemistry.
No, it's also a thing. It's like Rhino Bucket is deceptively hard
Hmm.
because when people listen to Rhino Bucket, they go like, "Oh, it's just three fucking chords. It's the AC/DC copy or Angels or Rosetta or whatever." But then when you get into it with the punches and the ups and downs, if you don't do it right, you sound like a garage band.
Right.
And Harry's a great musician, and he gets it. And I knew this 25 years ago. And Harry said something so very endearing to me a long time ago. He goes like, "Dude," well, he didn't say dude because we're Scandinavian, so we don't say dude. But he said like, "If you ever need anyone, George, I'll always be here for you." And I kept that in my back pocket. And I
Yeah.
mean, I had Brian for 25 years, but I didn't call anyone else. the first thing when I realized
Yep.
that Brian was no longer going to be in a band, I called Harry, and Harry said, "I'm in." And we obviously had conversations about parts and stuff like that, and we're going to get together and go over stuff. But I have, I'm not concerned about that at all. Nor am I about the new bass player, Joe. I'm not going to give his last name because he asked me not to, but Joe and then E. He was in Circus of Power.
Okay.
So that's like
Another good band. Another good band.
yeah, it's in our world. I
Yep.
had and to be honest to Joe, and I had asked Todd Muscat from Junkyard
Mhm.
before that, but he's going through some other issues and he's got some scheduling things and all that. And then I talked to why is there hair in my mouth? Um, I t I t not that. I talked to Ron Young from Little Caesar.
Yep.
Ron owns a rehearsal studio that we're probably going to use here in the Valley in LA, and uh, and he recommended Joe, and I've talked to Joe a number of times now, and it's like,
Oh,
okay,
good.
so it's kind of like a pedigree thing. It's like if somebody said like I was in this band in Monrovia for 2 years, 15 years ago, you'd be like
Right.
hesitant. But when they say that they were in Circus of Power, or when it's Harry and I know him and
Well,
Shotgun,
Shotgun, Rhino, and Circus could have actually been in the same magazine at the same time period at one
yeah.
point. So, I mean,
So
that just makes sense.
right, so it's kind of it's a little bit of it's kind of I mean to do a horrendous analogy, it's like construction. It's like, all right, so what do you do? I do framing. Okay, how about you? Drywall. Okay, how about you? I do plumbing. Okay, what have you guys done? Oh, we did the Hilton. Let's do it. But instead, like if one of those guys goes like, well, I replaced the bathtub in my mom's house. It took me 5.5 days.
Right.
You're kind of gonna go like, oh, I like you, but no.
Well, I definitely think you've got the guys that have all had the experience going into it, you know. Um,
Yeah, now it's just a question of like, making the work and getting all that. But there's a we have a group text message that we do
mhm.
between the four of us. And the maybe there was burnout on the other guys. Maybe it was burnout on me or Dave and all that kind of stuff. But the new group messages is like there's a certain sense of je ne sais quoi where like, people are
New blood is new
excited.
excitement. That is just
Yeah.
a fact.
And we're laughing and we're making jokes about like in Germany they not every toilet but they had these old toilets that have like an observation shelf. I don't know if you've ever been to Germany.
No, I
uh,
have not.
yeah, it's a weird thing, but we all had a good laugh about it, and we interact on a human basis, so it's not all just and what's his name, Joe is he's doing stuff. He's doing other stuff, and we work. We're gonna work around that. Harry is doing other stuff. We're gonna work around that. Dave and I are just lazy, so this is all we do.
You can wait the extra time in songwriting. I do want to say one of the questions that would have popped up now is Harry's name has popped up because of Shaka Messiah doing some songs, doing some Shaka Messiah in the past year. Had you
Oh
heard of
yeah,
that?
no, I talked to
We might
her.
as well address that too at this point because people are like, well, how's that going to happen if you know what I mean? Is that even a
No, no,
thought
no,
in the
no.
conversation?
Like um, they are. Harry's got a couple of things doing. I don't want to completely speak for him, but one of them is Shaka
No.
Messiah, and another one is another thing. And because like, our calendar is not full.
Right.
2026 is like pretty empty. 2027 is going to get full.
Okay.
We've already talked to Europe and all that. So, I've always said, which is the same thing I said to Sean, it's like, take the money,
Right.
but let me know. But if I put the gig to you and you say yes, then you're here.
Right.
You know, don't
I mean, it's possible. A lot of bands, a lot of artists are in a couple bands and they balance it and they do it for years.
yeah,
I've talked
and
to
that
people
no, that's
and they
fine.
they,
That's
they go, we
fine.
just do it.
But if you tell me that you're going to be at the this one gig for me, be at the gig.
Mhm.
And if you cancel like a week before that because you got a better gig, then adios,
That's
baby.
that sucks. That's unprofessional too, though. I mean, I think it'd
Yeah,
work. I think it's gonna be good. I'm interested. I'm really interested in this new lineup and this whole because I know at one point you were, I think, God, I don't know, many years ago we were talking. You had a burnout factor yourself, you know,
yeah.
and you were trying to get the machine going again. You're like, I do. I'm gonna do it. I feel it's in me. I kind of felt like you didn't want to walk away, but you weren't as excited about the time. And you're like, I just feel like I can't not do it. Am I
Right. No.
remembering? Am I
Yeah.
remembering
No.
correctly?
No.
Is that right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. A
But you
lot of
did, and
them.
you persevered, and that's when you got the machine going again. That was, I think that's what it was, that conversation.
No. I mean, a lot of it was basically. I just felt that that old analogy, like I was the only horse pulling the cart, and
Mhm.
everyone else was just showing up as an ATM. Not a great ATM by any stretch, but nonetheless, they weren't really doing anything, and
Right.
it was like me, and I had a conversation with some good friends of mine, and one of them being my cousin um, in Finland is the CEO, and he was like, "Yeah, but that's on you." Like brutally honest. He goes, like, "That's on you. You want to do this, then do it." You know,
Sounds like that's what you needed, though, right?
No, absolutely. I mean, it was like a wake up call for like spiritually and mentally for me, where he was like, I think it started the avalanche of like,
To where we are right now. Because I mean, I think
yeah, yeah, because I
you were
think
getting through
he was,
COVID too, right? I think we are talking
yeah,
we had a couple conversations, but I think this initial one was around COVID and getting yourself going, and then you pulled out of that and you get the band going, and then the newer challenges just kept kind of slowing down the process of what you're moving towards toward here.
right. Um, I don't know if I can. Let me see if I can make this work. Uh, Not really. That's in
What
my
you're trying to do.
bedroom. Show those
Okay.
guitars. I still live and love for music.
Yep.
Um, and I'm probably better versed at the music industry thanks to the guidance of our old manager, Tom Moeller, our old lawyer, Jeffrey Light, than most people. So I understand. I mean, like it's nice to be like that guitar hero. And I'm not saying that as Brian or Harry and like that, who like,
Mm,
I'm just going to show with my, and pick up my check and blah blah. But I mean, between the publishing and this, and Rhino Bucket is a Warner Brothers heritage band, so now we get checks
mhm.
twice a week. Oh, not twice. That would be nice. Twice a year, which forgives our recoup.
Yeah.
All this takes a lot of like legwork, right? And
Right.
Sony bought. EMI, ATM, so it's Sony ATM, and we get all that kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
I've spent a lot of time creating income streams for the guys in the band that were in the band and are continuing to be in the band.
Right.
Unfortunately, the newer guys don't really see that because most of the income is based on the Warner Brothers albums,
Right.
because they,
They weren't on it. You can do.
well, it was mafia.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
literally.
Right.
Uh, so I I love Harry, I love Joe, I love Dave. And Dave and I have done a bunch of European tours and MORC
Mm.
again, all that kind of stuff. And we're gonna continue this band and one of the things I did is I called everyone that mattered to me. I called our record company, I called and they said I said like, "Hey, listen, Brian and Sean are not in the band. It's me and Dave. But at the end of the day, you have to
It's
agree
me.
that if I'm here, then keep me signed. If not, let's move on. And they
Yep.
said, yeah, you're it. I called Larry Morand at Monsters of Rock Cruises,
Hmm.
who I've known a long time, and he's a great guy, and so is his wife, Stacia. And I said the same thing. It's like, look, it's me. It's like, if not, I understand. And he goes like, no, it's you. You're fine. I called the whiskey to let them know because I know Sean plays the whiskey a lot, and they were like, yeah, don't worry about it. I called Europe, uh, Teenage Head Music, Monty Montana. His real name is Carlos. Um,
No one's listening.
and said the same thing, and he was like, let's freaking go. So, and it's not. I don't. It's not an ego thing. I don't think For me, it's not an ego thing. I don't think it has to do with anything like that. They're not disrespecting the people that were in the band or anything like that. But I think that what they realize is that the selling point, the pivot point of the whole band, is that as long as I'm in that middle of the fucking stage
Well, you are
singing
the singer. You're the
and
singer.
and and
You were the
and and,
songwriter.
and songwriter and holding somewhat of a guitar, then we're okay. My challenge, and I think I've achieved it again, from the first lineup to with Simon, with Reeve, and all that, is to keep the level of musicianship and what we push forward to be representative of what it should be. I
Mhm.
gotta say this thing, though, just to qualify, which was this could have been the caveat to start it all. The third gig at the last Monsters of Rock cruise, I was drunk off my ass, and I forgot lyrics and all that kind of stuff, and nobody recorded it. Thank God I didn't.
Ah,
I didn't have a Vince Neil social internet moment, but everyone lost their shit, and even Dave was like, dude. And I was like, "Hey, I've been in this band since 1987. And in 1987, I probably had five of those gigs. One was last night at the cruise. One was at the Troubadour. One was in Bilbao with, I think they counted that I had 32 beers on stage, but they were small, which was my excuse. And the two other
oh.
ones I don't remember. But still, I mean,
So that would be the point of the alcoholic in control
right. Yeah, exactly. But the thing is, like,
reference.
yeah, I'm not, I do not deny, and I don't, shade away and all that. Yeah, shit happens. It happens with everyone,
Yeah.
but for the most part, which is really, I don't know if our fans are kind or what they are, but nobody posted anything negative about the gig where I was just like, like John Candy going like, "Do you think I'm having too much cheese?" Because I was like, "Ouch."
Yeah.
See,
That's funny. Did anything lead to that, or you just lost track of time and
no,
copious amounts of
no. I
just
mean, I forgot like this breakdown and Welcome to Hell, and I kind of kept it together, kind of
it's
not.
kind of
It didn't help that Brian and and Sean were like 20-year plus members of AA,
yeah, yeah.
so they're like steaming,
There's no space for that in between it. You either
just stewing and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, you know, yeah, okay. I remember, not, it's fine. It's like, Brian, it's like, I remember you smoking crack and doing heroin and all that and like not showing up for rehearsals time after time. But we kept you and we loved you and I love you still. And I still love Brian. I just don't
right.
want to deal with it anymore. And, you know, Sean, I didn't really know him that well. I mean, he was in a band, I think, a year and a half, maybe two. We never really hung out, but he was a nice guy, and his wife's lovely, and he's lovely. But at the same time, I never had a Mickey's big mouth and said like, you know what's really gonna fucking hit the spot? Big fucking bowl of crack, and then I'm gonna do some heroin to go to sleep. And it was never a gateway to me. I was just like, no, this is all right. I'll maybe have another one,
It's
and
pretty
I'm
funny,
gonna,
actually. I
I
mean, it's not a
mean,
history. You are right. You don't have a history of falling off the stage from a lot of performers do. I mean, one off on a cruise, not a big deal. It's
yeah, did I fall
you
off
know.
the stage?
I don't know. Did you? Maybe. I'm just saying you didn't. Or if you, no, I'm saying a certain singer
No, I
had
didn't.
had a
Yeah,
lot of
yeah,
drinks and
no,
fallen off the stage.
no,
I'm saying
no,
it's
I
not
didn't.
like you're continuously doing that at every gig. That would be hard to
Well, it's not like
professionally work with.
Vince Neil where you're like,
Well, that was my point.
right. I mean, like I was at Monsters on the Mountain, like I think 2, 3 years ago, and we were not playing the first night. We were playing the second night, I think. And Vince Neil's on, and he's like literally on for like 7 minutes, and just walks right off the stage and falls in front of the fucking the PA stack, and you're just like,
Night
uh,
after night,
yeah,
he's done men like that.
this has got to be a joke. I mean, this is like got to be something you're doing. I mean, I don't get it, you know. So whatever.
So we've kind of touched on all those points. Is there a timeline that you're gaming for then? Where like because you got gigs, you're gonna do the whiskey show, and then at that point you guys are gonna start obviously rehearsing and getting together. What the songwriting machine and then like a goal for an album by a certain time next year,
Right. So
second,
I
third
mean,
quarter type of thing?
yeah. Well, you know,
I'm just throwing stuff out there to ask you
yeah,
what you're
yeah.
thinking.
No, no, no. Absolutely. We're trying to build more gigs around the whiskey show, but running into some nefarious people that are like, it's my birthday. I can't charge a lot. I can't pay you a lot, and I don't have any backline. And I'm like, well, happy birthday. You know. Um, but in general, the plan for me, and I have to talk to the guys, is that we focus on. I have a number of songs. I have a number of great songs written by Rhino Bucket version 1 that I didn't know that we had. Um,
You're talking the
and
original guys back
yeah,
way back.
yeah. And they are not Rhino Bucket-ish because Greg kind of transitioned
Hmm.
to like a little bit like more aggressive, like
Hmm.
not regular rock and roll. And I think that would really lend itself well to Harry. Um, and then I want to write other songs. So I think the initial goal is to do as many gigs as we can in America now for the time being and keep everyone interested. Uh, Everyone being in the band,
Right.
and then uh, talk to the record company. They are interested. They are typical record company speak. Well, we're not interested. So whatever the fuck that means, I know where you live, fucker. So to do that and to get that printed, manufactured, do the pre stuff. So there was a possibility of doing Europe in September, but I think that's gone. So
Hmm.
what we're looking at is to get this album done and dusted, and do gigs here and there in America, like Ohio, East Coast. We'd love to do that. I mean, it's fun.
Right.
Um, and then hit Europe. We tend to do January, February a lot because nobody else wants to. And it's like, I'm Finnish.
It's so cold.
Yeah, but I'm Finnish. I'll go out there naked, and Harry's, Swedish. And Dave grew up for a long time in Jackson Hole. So like he skis.
There you
Uh,
go.
Joe's gonna hate it.
Your time then.
Oh, we're down. and then we're doing and then see what happens with Monster of Rock Cruise. I don't, it's always like they announce and they tell you. So it's like kind of
Right.
it's I appreciate all the work. I've known Larry for a long, long time. We went to it doesn't matter where we went, but I've known
It's
him for a
okay.
lot.
It sounds like there's a lot of moving pieces for something like that that they plan all year long. They've got a lot of moving pieces to make it work. So
Yeah, they do a really Monster Rock does a really great job of rotating bands. I
yeah,
just wish I was in a different rotation because I'd love to see some of my friends in Dangerous Toys. But that's cool.
they are great. They put on a great show. I just saw them and they played in Springfield at almost at a country western type of bar called Rascals. And been a little bit since I saw them. And I tell you, man, they just, you know,
Was it all of them? Was
fantastic.
it
Yeah.
Jason and
Oh yeah. It was the first time I saw Jason. Jason's been on a bunch of times and we've done a lot of things together, Jason and I, the shows and stuff, with podcasting. And I'm like, so I finally got to actually see him play live. I'd never seen him in a day. And I was not disappointed. He sounded great.
No,
The
he's
band sounded
great, and so's
fantastic.
Scott, and so's the drummer looks like me.
I never thought about that. And who else is a guitar player? The guitar from Dirty Looks is in there
No,
too.
yeah, Paul Lydell.
Yes.
Uh,
Yes, he's in it too.
so
He's
it's gonna kill me because the bass player is oh shit,
um
I know him too.
I don't remember names at this point. It's age, man. I'm forgetting everybody's names.
I gotta look it up because he's a really great guy.
I'm gonna tell you that it was great guitar work. It was just sound was good. Jason was just, always sounds great. He hasn't lost a note, you know. Funny,
No, he's one of the guys.
works the crowd like it was a party, you know. He didn't just like dial it in, you know what I mean? It was
No,
just
he never has.
no, I'm not saying that. I'm saying, but like to people that aren't aware of seeing them, it's a show that you're gonna really enjoy because it's not just, watching, a static band and just standing there.
Mike Watson.
Okay. Yeah.
I was re I was really good friends with the previous guitar player, Danny Aaron, who had a some kind of religious breakdown. Danny was
Was it was
nuts.
it was not a hip
Dan,
to that one.
Danny Aaron, he was like he was on the first album, I think maybe the second one too, I don't know. And him and I were like brothers. It's like even though he was in Texas, I was in LA. Whenever they
Yeah.
came to LA, we were like, come
Yeah.
on, baby. Um, Great fucking player, just like one of those guys.
I wonder what happened
We
to him. Do you know what happened to
well,
him?
here's the thing. We did this. We did this like promotion with because we were all on WIA, Warner Electro Atlantic,
Yeah.
whatever, and they had this thing at a sushi place in Melrose. I know the place, and Danny was there, and then we were saying like, "Hey man, this is limo picking us, Rhino Bucket up, and we're gonna go to a Red Onion and do
Yeah.
like an appearance." And Danny was like, "Hell yeah, man, I'll come." And the band was like, Danny was like, "Danny, no." And and Greg and I said like, "No, we'll keep an eye on him," because they had a video shoot the next day.
Oh,
So we go down there, and they didn't have enough guitars for me, Greg, and Danny. So they handed a 6 string to Greg and a 12 string to Danny and told me, you just sing. So we're sitting in this like, the pit, like, the dance pit right at Red Onion. And they got all these strippers doing a wet t-shirt concert. And, they're playing songs and all that kind of stuff. And and then Danny decides to pull off the greatest guitar solo I've ever heard in my life on a 12 string guitar. I mean, he
Really?
was so talented. He was not unfazed. He was just like, he just dug in. And Greg started laughing in the middle of it. And he's like looking at me, and I'm going like, why the fuck is this guy not in our fucking band? You know? So yeah, Danny. Danny was a good guy. Those
Now I'm
red
curious
onion things were
what
like
else he
great.
did.
And so he quit at one point and just I never I can't speak for him. I can't speak for Dangerous Toys. I know he like moved to I think East Texas. I think he just I mean I don't know. I mean I again I'm not going to speak for him. I think
No,
he
I
just
think the 90s
maybe
got hard for a lot of bands though to stay together.
nah, I mean
Once the
they were doing good. I mean I think he quit early.
Oh, okay.
And
Before
so
the
I think
grunge started kind of messing with everybody.
yeah, I think there may have been something like he just reevaluated his life
Hmm.
and what he wanted to do. So, but I don't know. You'd have to ask Jason. I've never had the balls to ask Jason. I love Jason, and Jason's been lovely to me, and as Paul and my doppelganger.
Your doppelganger. That's pretty funny now. Now that you say that, that is really kind of funny. That's awesome. This is I want to thank you for sharing some up-to-date news. It's always nice to
Yeah,
hear from a person that's actually going on and not rumors or stories or you know what I'm saying? Or
right.
once you put it on the post, next thing you know, it'll become an article that's still following your post, and then it's like 15 articles over in another country, and then it gets changed, and then this person gets interviewed, and this person gets interviewed. So at least with this is exactly is how you see it, how it happened to you, how you're moving
Yeah, I
forward
mean,
with your band. I mean,
yeah.
it's your band. The Once the original players fell out and you kept going, that already proved it. I mean, anybody else that added to the band at this point on, and I'm not being disingenuous to anybody, you already showed that once the original guys left, you kept on, you were the band, the focal point. For going back in the day, that's not an ego thing. That's just a fact. If people want to see you
Well,
after the original guys left, then it's not a conversation.
yeah, I mean, in my heart of hearts, to be honest with you, if if I had a genie and they would say like you can grant one band for
Hmm.
you, that band would include Greg, who's now the producer for Metallica, so he's not coming, but we're still friends. And Jackie, who was known as Liam then,
Hmm.
and I love Dave, but um, and I really do love Dave, and Dave is a great drummer and all that. But the best musician I've ever met in my life was Jackie. And it's one of those weird things like you meet a million people, you
Right.
work with a million people, and then you meet the person who's like just a couple of levels above. But, I still have a good band and I'm still doing it. I
Yeah.
I think I'm just carrying the flag. I don't think I'm the most important person or anything like that. I'm just carrying the
Well, I
flag.
think you guys created the nexus, the where it built off of. But being the core songwriter and the core sound, you can still carry on without it taking away from it. It's just sometimes it's just different. But I don't know.
Yeah,
I'll be honest with you. Hearing the first album, and I've noticed with some bands that like when they've had different singers or performers that switch out over the years, and I can hear a difference. I mean, like, oh, definitely. Like I can say, just recently, like Queens of the Stone Age, when Nick left the band as a bass player, you can hear a difference. They're both good, different versions of the band, but they are different
right.
sounding bands. To me, if I played to somebody else, your first album and like your last album, I don't think people are gonna know the difference because your voice, your guitar, you're the main songwriter. From outside, I'm saying,
Right.
unless you really pick your
Well,
heart. And I'm not, it's not a knock towards any musicians. I'm saying, but there's a certain sound that your band has. It's always a sound, and that sound
no,
is
I
your voice.
appreciate that. Yeah,
You
no,
know
I
what I'm saying? You know
appreciate
what I'm
that.
saying? So
Yeah.
there's something very consistent about what you are. So it doesn't sound like, and when the album comes out, it's going to be just another good rock and roll album. And
Or
obviously, it's going to be in your voice because you're writing in your singing voice.
we're gonna write this pseudo death metal thing with Harry Cody and Joey. and it's gonna sound
Rhino
um
Bucket.
like
With you singing, it's gonna sound like Rhino Bucket.
Ram. Oh yeah, no, that's the whole thing. There's
Maybe
a
like
famous,
Rammstein.
yeah, Ramstein. My wife. See, here's the thing: my wife doesn't go to my gigs anymore. She did for the first 15 years of our marriage, and now she's like, whatever. Her favorite bands are Guns N' Roses, Rammstein, and Metallica, right?
That's funny. Well, no one in my family listens to my podcast. It's just whenever I think that probably happens to everybody, unless you're in Guns N' Roses.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Unless you're in
Oh,
one of those
no.
bands or Metallica. Then you're on the side of the stage counting the money.
Right. Like, this is gonna be
Yeah,
our house in Hawaii.
this is my favorite song. You know,
Right.
yeah, it's
Well,
awesome.
great talking to you, Sean, man.
It's always fun to talk to you, man. We'll keep in touch and
Yeah.
as things progress. And I just want people to get the straight, non-clickbait story. This is just the facts, good and bad. It's just what it
Yeah,
is.
no, I mean they're great guys. It just didn't work
Yeah,
out at the end, and the thing is, like, I think I have great guys involved now, and we're just
it's
gonna.
better to take the band-aid off and not let us destroy your soul. Get back to the first conversation we had
Right.
because why get there? I mean, you want to have fun when you're doing this, and a lot of bands right now. This is to me, I always feel like this is the victory lap for a lot of rock bands that survived from back then, from any actually from the 60s, 70s, 80s to up into the 90s. If you guys are anybody in those years are still playing now because your fans are still around or you get new fans, that's a victory lap where you survived. Now you're just
Mhm.
out there doing it because you love it. So why not always enjoy it? This is the victory lap that you guys were earned.
Right, right. No, absolutely. It's like, here's the thing. History is weird. Van Gogh didn't sell a single fucking painting, right? Um,
No,
Van Gogh's brother was an art dealer and sold a shitload of paintings and financed Vincent.
right.
No one talks about that.
Didn't
So,
when Vincent died though, he had a lot of he had a lot of art. I think he earned his money back though when Vincent died. Did he have the
oh yeah. So Van Gogh's brother financed Vincent knowing that Vincent was a
yeah.
genius, but no one would buy it because they didn't see it. So it's kind of like in music and in everything, just do the fuck what you want. You
Yeah.
know,
And the headline is going to
I
be
yeah,
George is cutting his ear off for the next Firework album. I'm reading you.
right, right. George is playing a ski resort in Australia. Watch this. No, so like
You want to have fun.
you either uh, it's one of those things like nobody becomes a CEO of a grocery store because they love groceries. But people play music till the day they fucking die because they
Hmm.
like to create and play music.
Right.
So, and that's why, like, in that industry, groceries and all that kind of stuff, it's like a ladder. And when you
Yep.
get to a certain point of a ladder, they either put you on top of the ladder or you take a payout and you're fine. And with
Push you off the ladder.
entertainment, it's a career arc. And, some people have this career arc that never goes down. Obviously, we know who all they are. And other ones, it does go down, but it doesn't mean that you didn't have a great career.
Right. Well, I mean, album sales have nothing to do with talent at this point. We all know that. And
Yeah.
survival is good. Where can people check you out for stuff, for updates on the
Oh,
band and
just
stuff?
I'm so bad at this. There's George and Rhino Bucket. There's Dave and Rhino Bucket. There's oh no, at Facebook. There's rhinobucket.com or Rhino Bucket.
They can
Just
go to the website.
Google.
Are you updating it? Is it updated? Because sometimes artists say, you know what, only
No,
when an
it's
album comes
it's
out, I update
updated.
it. It's like, where
Yeah,
can they go to keep on really keep hot with you so they
we
know
have
the new
we have
tours?
we have this great guy named Jamie Hollis out of North Carolina. Him and his wife Stephanie are like super diligent, and so Rhino Bucket dot rocks is the
Okay.
website.
I'll put the link below
Eh,
for people too.
yeah, and then there's like Facebook and Meta, whatever the fuck that is.
Yeah, I just want people to be able to keep track of like what shows you have coming up in the future because
All
we
right,
don't
I
know yet.
appreciate that.
That's what I'm saying. I just want people to be able to kind of work and they go because there's so much out there. And
All
sometimes
right.
an artist goes, you know what? I just put it here. Or my Instagram is the only thing I do. I put the dates there. The website's fine for other stuff, media, whatever. But if you want to know what I'm doing, go to my whatever. And that's usually what it comes down to now for me.
Right.
I'm like working because there's so much gobbledygook and jibber jabber out there. Where can we just fine tune
Yeah.
and cut the noise out and be like, oh, let me see what the tours for Rhino Bucket. They're around here. Okay, I can mark off my calendar. I can go see them. That's it. You know.
Yeah.
So,
Cool.
first man, it's always been a pleasure. I want to thank you for
Thank
being on the
you.
show, man. Thank you.